I don't know about you, but I can distinctly remember the moment when I realized I'm an adult and that means I can decorate however I like. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 25 DIY/thrifted type home decor ideas to Castlecore-ify your home. When I look online and see people sharing how they are Castlecore-ifying or fantasy-ifying, I feel a little twinge of, oh gosh, I could never, because it's expensive and I don't have a lot of money. And I know there are a lot of people out there who are in the same boat. So today, I am going to give you ideas that you can thrift, ideas that you can DIY. Even if you are on a tight budget, you can do a lot. It's going to be a cozy, chatty kind of video. We're not going to be really talking about any kind of historical accuracy here. We are just going for vibes. So grab yourself a lovely cup of coffee, grab yourself some tea, and let's get started. I would just like it to be known for the record that this dress has a hood. I'm here to stab things. I don't know why I'm Batman, but does Batman stab? First up, let's talk about 5 simple design principles that can guide all of your decisions as you're planning out your home decor and as you're actually implementing that decor into your home. The first guiding principle I think is the most important, and that is color palette. Castlecore is all about like earthy tones and jewel tones, very rich colors, but not a lot of bright colors. Try to have as much color unity and harmony as possible. The rule of 3s, we like sets of 3. It's just humanly seems to be a thing. It feels complete when there's 3. You can apply this to color, size, texture. This is just a principle. Apply it how you like, where you like, when you like. Castlecore textures are beautiful. Think of woven textures like linen and like tapestries. Think of like faux fur layer textures on top of each other, like stacking some velvet and some lace, and that just creates very juicy depth. Castlecore can be very, very ornate. It can get overwhelming very quickly. Be aware of having space for calm and quiet and peaceful spaces amidst the more ornate, decorated stuff. Look for weathered and aged materials and supplies. Like, you want it really to be kind of beat up and look like it's been kicked around for 40 years, because this is the 1200s and we don't throw things out. All right, let's get into the meat of things. In our first section, I'm going to be talking about decor ideas for anywhere in the home. Add a stone wall accent. When my brother was like 12, he was Castlecore before it was even a thing. So my wonderful mother painted stones onto his bedroom walls. But if painting the wall isn't an option for you, you can buy peel and stick wallpapers. But of course, that's going to be a bit more expensive than painting it yourself. And then the last option for this would be to actually build a faux stone wall. Idea number 2 is for your windows to add a bit of medieval charm. Find some black tape and create that medieval lattice. It's a lot cheaper than if you were to try and buy window clings. Speaking of windows, number 3 is curtains. And what I think of is immediately like velvet. Velvet to me is very Castlecore. Another option is those very ornate like brocade curtains with lots of trim, lots of fringe and beading and detailing. You could attach your own trim to an existing pair of curtains to just zhuzh them up and give them some of that fantasy feel. Thrifted picture frames. I love thrifting picture frames. It's one of my very favorite things to thrift. You can find some really incredible, unique, ornate, beautiful, vintagey frames for super cheap. Then obviously you would put some art in those frames. So there's kind of two main directions you could go here. The first would be to go for medieval art, just like legit medieval art, or fantasy art. Thrift candle holders. Now obviously I love a good candle holder. Every thrift store has a ton of these, and you can find them in glass, wood, different metals. You can get a lot of candle holders because it's really part of the vibe. Castlecore, we could call it, basically. Let's move on to section 2, which is your Castlecore kitchen. Right now, my kitchen makes me very depressed. It's very plain, and there is basically no decor in it. I just want to feel like I am just a castle servant, scrubbing potatoes and getting yelled at by the mean cook and having to sleep in the ashes of the fire. Anyway, so our theme here is rustic and simple, more peasant than prince. Thrift, copper dishes. You can hang these on a wall, put them on the shelf, or even just put them out on your counter space. Stoneware, mugs, and tankards, that kind of thing. Dishware, that looks very handmade, that looks very earthen. Your kitchen is a functional space. The more tools and utensils that you actually use on a daily basis that have this look, the more your kitchen will actually look like a functional medieval kitchen. A wicker broom. This is like when you picture like a witch's broom, not one of those brooms that you use to sweep your front porch, like an actual old style broom that just looks like someone just threw it together from some twigs. Display your pantry goods as apothecary bottles. For this project, you're going to need some glass jars in various sizes and shapes, and then you're going to put all of your pantry goods, whether that is your different tea leaves or your breakfast cereals or your flour or your sugar, whatever it is that you want to display, into the glass bottles. And then you can print out or design medieval style like apothecary labels. I would be cautious of dollar store or thrifted glasswares being used for food because there is risk that it has lead in it. So I would just be cautious of that and look for good quality glass jars. The Castlecore aesthetic is just as much about what we don't see as it is about what we do see. So if you're going to try and make your kitchen very Castlecore, you might want to remove some of your appliances that you would usually keep out on the counter, for example, and keep them in a cupboard instead, or tuck them away behind a curtain. Maybe hide your light switches behind a little fairy door, things like that to cover up the accessories and appliances and whatnot that really take away from the aesthetic. At the end of the day, whatever makes you happy is how you should decorate. Your kitchen still needs to be functional as well as, giving you aesthetic joy. There is a lot of room to play with a living room. Thrift old trunks and chests. They bring that vintage fantasy feel, but then it also doubles as storage. So then you can hide the ugly things or the things that, don't fit with the aesthetic inside something that does fit with the aesthetic, which is just a win-win. This is also something you can DIY very easily with a wooden box and some wood stain and maybe some faux leather and such. I am a big book nerd, so I obviously love when books are used as decor. You can make stacks of books, you can put books on a little table, books on bookshelves, books on your mantle. Literally, you can put books anywhere. You can put books on the floor if you want to, okay? There are no limits to what you can do with books. Lighting is so important. Stay away from the very bright, harsh, modern, fluorescent kind of light, and we're looking for that more glowy, flickering, magical kind of feel. No like ceiling fixtures. Look for old lamps, beautiful lampshades like this, or this could even be a DIY project where you find some nice lamps, lampshades, lamp stands, fixtures, etc., and then add your own accessories to liven it up. Faux fur textures. Look for old faux fur rugs and throws. These can make a really beautiful accent, add a little bit of texture, but also simplicity. If you have very modern looking furniture in your living room, you don't necessarily need to run out and replace all of your furniture. There's a lot you can do to actually give it a more fantasy vibe, a more Castlecore feeling, just with adding on like throws and pillows and creating layers of texture and color to sort of cover up the more modern-y feel of it. Castlecore bedroom. So again, let's harken back to my youth. My mother made me a canopy bed from cardboard and wire. So if you don't have, you know, a 4-poster bed or a, you know, $10,000 canopy bed, then just do a little DIY operation and make your own. It definitely makes you feel like you are a medieval princess. The next idea would be, again, lighting and looking for more sconces, more table lamps for like your night table, some of that softer lighting, medieval style pillows. This could definitely be either a DIY or a thrifted operation. I would recommend looking for velvet, looking for brocade, looking for sort of ornate textures and mixed textures. Like, look at this guy, he's beautiful. As you can see, he's seen better days in terms of the fringe and the tassels, but that's okay, we still love him. He's a good friend. Anyway, the next idea is a fun DIY project, a fantasy style moss mirror. So find an old mirror and add in some moss, add in some mushrooms. You could use foam clay, you could use polymer clay, whatever you like to sculpt some little mushrooms. You could even find mushrooms at like craft store that are pre-made and just glue these on, or like crystals or whatever you like to really give it that like fantasy portal vibe. Framed art prints or tapestries. It will be a bit harder to thrift, but keep your eyes peeled. And a fun idea here too would be to add in like a fantasy map for Middle Earth or whatever fantasy fandoms you love. That to me is really fun because it feels like you're like stepping into that world. On to our very last section, which is a study or just the desk space. DIY some old scrolls. This would be really fun. You can, you know, weather paper with some coffee or tea staining and then put it in the oven and then just roll it up, tie it with some string, or you can seal it with a wax seal if you have that. Notebooks. If you have any fantasy aesthetic notebooks, any leather bound notebooks, any notebooks with like gilded edges or anything like that, then you have to display those. It's the law. Old bookends. I feel like this isn't something we're always on the prowl for. You can find some really cool bookends at the thrift store, and then you can display books in more places. The very last 25 of our 25 ideas is to use a chalice or tankard for a pen holder slash, you know, desk materials, stationery supply holder at your desk. So this would be something obviously to look for at thrift store or possibly DIY, something that you just sculpt out of polymer clay. All right, that concludes today's video. I hope that some of these ideas got your inspiration flowing, got you ideating, and coming up with projects and things to look for as you are on the prowl at the thrift store. One of the things to remember if you are DIYing and thrifting home decor is that it is a process and it can take quite a long time. So allow it to unfold as it does. I cannot wait to get cracking on transforming my own space. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like and comment and subscribe. It really, really helps me to get my videos seen by more people who can benefit from them, who can find joy in them. And I am so, so grateful that you're here. I hope that you have a gloriously creative rest of your day. Goodbye.